What's up, guys? Chris Marler here, Saturday Down South, and we are doing something that we don't normally do, and I'll be honest, I don't like doing, and that is catching up with some of our other staff that report on other conferences not named the SEC. So that being said, if you didn't know, we do have a sister site, and we also have two new sites, Saturday Road, and of course I'm talking about Saturday Tradition, the Big Ten site for us, which is led by our fearless leader here, Dustin Schutte. Dustin, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I'm trying to bring some Big Ten culture into your SEC world today.
When you say culture, you just mean like 11 a.m. kickoffs and cheese curds, because that is the whole culture.
And Busch Light and bratwurst.
Okay, that I can get down with. That sounds fantastic. In the actual real, but no. So Dustin is from Big Ten country, and he's a great dude. We don't see eye to eye on pretty much anything involving football, and that's fine. But since it's the offseason, we are going to try to be, as he said, cultured, well-versed, well-rounded into what's going on around the college football world and across the country. So we're going to go over some, I guess, the current events, topical events, starting with Michigan, Jim Harbaugh, who finally gets seemingly where he wants to be and living up to expectations, gets to a playoff game, beats Ohio State. And then there's news that he wants to go back to the NFL. Explain it to me, make it make sense. And what's the latest you're hearing?
I don't know if I can make it make sense, because it doesn't make any sense that the first time he beats Ohio State, he wins a Big Ten title, and he gets to the college football playoff, which has been his goal since he got there.
Right.
And now all of a sudden he's entertaining potentially the Minnesota Vikings. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Well, apparently,
initially it was Vegas too, which is that's the one for going back to the NFL, sure, but there's not a less Vegas guy than Jim Harbaugh. You don't go to Vegas and wear khakis without a shirt and drink milk at all hours of the day. Serial killers do that shit. Jim Harbaugh also does. And I could not see him fitting in well at Vegas.
I was just going to say, the all-you-can-eat breakfast and lunch buffet served with an ice-cold glass of milk, it just doesn't fit in. That never made sense. Plus, what's the name of the owner out there? That guy's haircut really bothers me.
Davis?
Yeah. Is it Mark Davis?
So yeah. I think it's a Joe Dirt situation where he was probably born with the top of his skull, and they just gave him that. I'm assuming. Otherwise, I don't know why he if you're a millionaire and you choose to have that haircut and also go out in public, that's a bold move. But that being said, the bold move thing, part of me hope it happens, because those two could not have any chemistry. And also, I would love Harbaugh to go into a off the deep end and become Stu from The Hangover. By game 2, he shows up, he's missing a tooth, he's married to a whore, and then it's just everything's going wrong in his personal life. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would happen if he was out in Vegas. He just doesn't fit in out there at all. Now, Minnesota, where it's cold and people dress up like actual real Vikings at the games and chant Skull, I think he would fit in up there. But in terms of him going to the NFL right now, it makes no sense. However, I did check into this. His best season at Stanford was 12-1 in 2010. And immediately after that is when he took the job with the San Francisco 49ers. So I thought from the very beginning he would try to turn this season into, he took that big pay cut and the reduced buyout before the start of this season because they were so awful in 2020. But I thought he would turn this into a bargaining chip to increase his
get his money back,
get a new contract basically, and increase his buyout. But it sounds like there's a little bit more fire to the smoke, I guess.
But no, getting back to that at hand, I think we're going to see more things like this for some of the coaches who are good coaches, but the NFL is arguably a much easier job right now than college. I know it's more pressure packed, and there's a shorter leash in a lot of cases, but I would jump at the chance to not have to go through 2 signing days, all the NIL stuff, also playing Ohio State in a revenge season. There's a lot of reasons I think that it makes sense for him to go. I'm just, again, go to Minnesota, go to Cleveland, go to Pittsburgh. Keep your ass out of Vegas, dude. I just can't imagine anything good having that going to Vegas. So the other news that came out, and I didn't know this, you shared it with me, not a current Big Ten figure, but a former, noted liar is how I would refer to him. Urban Meyer was in the news this week for some quote. You explain it to me.
Yeah. So Urban Meyer basically said that the NFL was the worst experience of his life, which then contradicts what you said, Chris, that the NFL is so much easier than college.
Okay, no,
Um,
no, no, no,
I
no.
think I
Go
think
ahead.
it would be easier for just about anybody except Urban Meyer, who is a
Hmm.
control freak and I like is kicking players in warmups and in practice and is doing things in his Urban Meyer's pint house that should not end up on Twitter, but that did end up on Twitter. So it's just bizarre to me. And you know what's funny? Because we're going to talk about this later too. What's funny to me is for the longest time, everybody was thinking Urban Meyer would get back into coaching at Notre Dame.
Right.
And if not for that viral video and apparently trying to like take the legs out beneath his quick kickers with Brian Kelly going to LSU,
Yeah,
he might have
1,000% would
landed
have
a
been
job
there.
at Notre Dame, which is
It, like
what many people thought was a dream job.
Urban Meyer is almost like, and this is going to sound way worse than I actually mean it. Just hear me out here. Urban Meyer is like herpes. Like he is always going to show back up. Like whether you want him or not, he is always going to be around. But the other thing is, like you were saying, it's contradictory to what I said. No, it's not. Because what did I say at the very top? Urban Meyer is a noted liar. And that's what he's done almost more outside of winning. It's probably what he's best at and been most consistent at over his tenure as a coach at any point. It also, see, here's the thing too. Like I feel like he failed and they gave him the keys to to like the Lamborghini and like the garage and all that kind of stuff, however that saying goes, and let him try to approach it like he did in college. Like he was going to be in complete control of the draft process, the coaching and all that kind of stuff. And it turns out like Urban Meyer's just kind of an asshole. And if you don't have 18 to 21-year-old kids that like feel like they have to do what you're saying, it's probably not going to go over as well. But to say it's the worst experience of his life, I wrote down several other experiences that we've all seen from him that were worse, and I have 5 of them here. One is when he, what I refer to as his pizza period, like when he was eating
Yep.
his feelings on
Yep.
the
Papa
golf
John's.
cart.
Yep.
Several fake heart attacks. Let's see here. He was flirting with infidelity at his own bar when there were murals of he and his wife in the background. Bold move, very bold move. Let's see here. Oh, number 2, he lived in Utah, like willingly. I mean, not just for ski season, Utah. I can't imagine that. And then last but not least, what was it? Oh yeah, he had to manage an entire roster where a third of the players on the roster had been to jail and or were felons. There was what was it? One murderer who was actually a serial killer. And then, oh, by the way, the one stable part of your team, your quarterback, is like spending spring break by circumcising strangers in the Caribbean. So that seemed a lot more stressful than Jacksonville, in my opinion.
Well, it's not so much because when you turn the other cheek and don't really care what's happening within your program, like you just assigned Tim Tebow to be like, look, I don't get paid enough to deal with this shit. You get paid $0. I'm going to have you deal with that. And like, it makes me wonder, like the really good kids he's had in his program, like the Tim Tebows, the JT Barretts at Ohio State, like
just
how
those
much,
2, yeah.
how, that's it. That's the list. How much diffusing did those 2 guys how much stress did they get placed on them because he couldn't handle, like clearly in Jacksonville
They were a single mom, dude.
Handle a locker room.
Yeah, there's apps. I mean, like, and that is also a lot to bite off. But I remember, like, even before Aaron Hernandez, his first 4 years at Florida, he had over 28 or 30 players arrested in those first 4 years. And this is at the time where like the running joke was like Georgia offseason arrest, and he was far and away like taking the cake on that. And it was also the other part too is the kind of crimes they were committing. It's just obviously he only cared about winning games, and that's fine, like whatever. But yeah, but like and I'm not trying to be a dick and just like dance on his grave, but I just listed off those things mainly in jest. If you're going to sit here also and say that the NFL was the worst thing you've ever experienced, you literally harbored an abusive like husband that was committing domestic violence for years, and you didn't tell anybody. So also, again, I'm not gonna say that right, but you're a piece of blank, Urban.
Yeah, you wonder where his morals are, which is interesting, right? Like always preaching to these kids about morals. And I told Trevor Lawrence to be careful when he went out partying for his bachelor party. And Urban was 10 feet away from, or, whatever, from his wife.
Oh, he wasn't 10 feet away.
The one thing he did love about the NFL was the grind. I can tell you that.
There it is.
That's 100% true.
All right. We got two more topics I want to get into. And I'm really excited about the last one. This one kind of caught me by surprise. Caleb Williams, obviously one of the biggest names in the transfer portal. He is one of, let me check my notes here, 87,000 players that have entered the transfer portal since December. But Caleb Williams is I think currently ranked number one overall as for players in the portal as ranked by 247 Sports. Started at Oklahoma as a true freshman, overtook Spencer Rattler. I think everyone kind of assumed he's still crystal balled 100% to USC, like that he would just follow Lincoln Riley. There were some rumors that he might go to UGA. Now we're hearing that he might go to Wisconsin. And you look at listen, we all saw Russell Wilson do it. I've heard nothing but great things about Madison. We already talked about the cheese curds. I don't know that much about Wisconsin's offense. I know you said they've hired a new offensive coordinator, but the thing for me is, coming out of high school, he's a 5-star quarterback. I'm sure he had more than this, but there's 25 listed offers. Wisconsin wasn't even one of them. So the interest is pretty fresh. You tell us what you're hearing.
So this is a deep dive thing, which I know you appreciate this kind of stuff, but somebody went to the trouble of trying to connect the dots as to why in the hell Caleb Williams would go to Wisconsin, considering their offense is not in any way, shape, or form geared around an aerial attack. No. In fact, only 3 quarterbacks. Caleb Williams had 21 touchdown passes this year, coming in relief for Spencer Rattler.
Right.
Only three Wisconsin quarterbacks have thrown 20 or more touchdown passes since 2010. Can you name any of them?
No, I can't name any Wisconsin Russell Wilson, Graham Mertz.
Russell Wilson is one. No, Graham Mertz was not one of them.
He had 5 in the first game.
Joel Stave.
Oh my God.
And Alex Hornibrook. So there you go.
Alex Hornibrook. That's a very unfortunate name, but yes, I remember that name. That's good.
So the point being is you go into this deep dive, and apparently Wisconsin's new offensive coordinator, Bobby Ingram from the Baltimore Ravens. I'm probably
the former Penn State receiver?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Former Penn State receiver is their new offensive coordinator. Bobby Ingram and Caleb Williams' dad are friends.
Okay.
Bobby Ingram's son, Dean Ingram, is a cornerback for the Badgers, and apparently he and Caleb Williams played on the same high school team. So there is some sort of connection there. Not a wide receiver, not an offensive lineman, not a running back. But yes, you are.
The Big Ten West is just, it is so, I don't want to even say top heavy, because the top of it is like a 10-3 or 10-2, 9-3 team every year. But Wisconsin is one of those programs, especially when Brett Bielema was there, you're set up, to be in the driver's seat to win that division every year, right? You have a lot of talent, and it's again, it's a very weak division. So him going there, we saw the success Russell Wilson had. He took him to a Rose Bowl. And he immediately, that has been the trend now in college football, which it sounds simple, but elite quarterback play is what is driving most of the top teams in the country. So for him to come in, I feel like what it makes them, I don't know if it makes them a national title contender, but it definitely makes them dangerous to compete with a team like Ohio State, because now you have a guy that maybe he's better, just as good, or right around the same talent level as Caleb Stroud or CJ Stroud. I mean, so I don't know if he ends up there, but it would be, pretty interesting to say the least for that conference.
It's a long shot, and I think he would kind of make them a contender for at least the college football playoff, maybe not quite national championship level, because you look at the offensive line, it's always good. They always have a great running back. Braylon Allen can fill that void.
Right.
And then what have they lacked? They've always lacked great quarterback play. Graham Mertz was supposed to be the guy that put them over the top, and not just winning the West, but winning the Big Ten. And this year he had 10 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. He was not good. Wisconsin had as many touchdown passes this season as Army. So
that's bad. Yeah.
It's not good. In fact, I think Army had as many touchdown passes or more than 3 Big Ten teams, but I don't want to fuel your fire.
Didn't tell me that. Yeah. That's interesting. We'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, I think it's just that has become especially in our job, that's become the off season, right? That is the content, and that's those are the news stories that we have to kind of chase and kind of watch develop and unfold. It's like Panda Watch from Anchorman, but it's just transfer portal watch. The other story that everyone is watching through their own hands, because of how uncomfortable and cringy it is the train wreck that is Brian Kelly down in Baton Rouge. And I tell you what, man, by like this thing gets funnier and more uncomfortable by the day, but he apparently is getting more comfortable with making everyone else uncomfortable. Like Brian Kelly dancing, I have not seen somebody with more recently divorced dad vibes than Brian Kelly right now. Like we're 2 weeks away from him starting dressing like a lot of patterned button downs and buying a Maserati and getting like a 23-year-old girlfriend from Instagram, because it is a lot. What has been your favorite part, or if you can even call it that, since he's been down in Baton Rouge?
Well, first of all, my favorite part, we talked about the dancing and all that. We'll touch on all that, but like, what the hell is this? Like that's not a thing, is it? An that's never been an LSU thing. And
so I saw Joe Burrow do it his last game, and and Coach O did it, but then there's been several people that are like diehard LSU fans and people that cover the team. Chris Gordy told me flat out, he's like, we don't do that. I don't know what that is. We don't do that at all. So
I thought that was Texas Tech, like close enough, like with Mike Leach leaving the field after they beat Texas in 2007 or whatever. Yeah. But that is very uncomfortable. The speech he gave at halftime of one of the basketball games with talking about his family. His family was, I didn't like that at all. And then the two dancing videos where he is worse than Elaine Bennis from Seinfeld. I'm not sure. I did not know that was possible, but it's possible. But I think what's the worst is like, I think he's leaning into it. Like, he doesn't care that he looks like a dumbass. He's just going straight for it.
So like the views that they have seen, like they've all gone viral. I think Peter Burns tweeted something today about how it was like a 4 million views in the latest one. And if it's working, it's working. I mean, we talked about Harbaugh earlier. Harbaugh was trying to have a sleepover with a fucking kicker out of like high school. So like, to each their own, I guess. But like, if it's working, do whatever you got to do, man. I mean, like, but at the same time, I'm 35. I was impressionable at 18. I just can't imagine any kid who like at that age, who's like pretty concerned with how, like, with being cool and like not being embarrassed. And another thing too, is if we don't talk about this nearly enough, like we talk about the Urban Meyer grinding thing. Why was he so close to that? It was very uncomfortable. I didn't like it. I
was going to say, in the first video, they were facing opposite, right?
Yeah,
so they were back to back, which made it but then the next time he's like, it was like creepy, like, I'm going to stand over your shoulder and tell you I'm going to kill you in your sleep or something.
Yeah,
like
it went from being like Lethal Weapon pose to like Titanic or Standing Prom pose. It was like, it's 2022. If you want to do that, that's your bag. Fine. That's fine, Brian. But
that Titanic on the front of the ship is a perfect comparison, because that's kind of what it felt like. Like anytime he's just going to wrap his arms around and like, you're not getting out of Baton Rouge.
Yeah, no, and metaphorically to everyone else outside of Baton Rouge, it definitely looks like that entire ship is sinking. So, that is the latest in around the college football world. We covered it all. Jim Harbaugh drinking milk in Vegas. We have what was it? Oh, Urban Meyer lying per usual. Caleb Williams possibly going up to Madison, Wisconsin, and then also Brian Kelly being like he struggles with rhythm like the way I struggle spelling rhythm every single time in my iPhone. So thank God for that red squiggly line. Dustin, tell everyone where they can find you on social media, and we appreciate you joining us, man.
Yeah, I'm at SchuteCFB, or you can follow us at Tradition. Just pretty simple Twitter follow. So hopefully if you love Big Ten football, give us a follow.
Good. All right. Well, okay. Or, just do it anyway. Okay.